Hey guys, in today's video I'm going to be doing a deep dive into an absolutely mind-boggling Scrabble pre-endgame situation I recently encountered in game 72 of my 100-game human versus AI series against the AI-powered Scrabblebot BestBot. Now the game is up on my channel, so be sure to check out the game as it happened live if you haven't already. It was a really great game and awesome video, but when I encountered this pre-endgame position, I thought I handled it pretty well, but as I realized along with a few other top experts in my commentary section after the game, I really only scratched the surface. There are some themes in this position, guys, that I've literally never seen before in my nearly 15-year Scrabble career. It's an absolutely incredible position, and I don't make separate videos on too many positions from my games against the computer, but this one, if anything, absolutely deserved it. So stay tuned, don't go anywhere, and let's jump right in. So first things first, let's take stock of the situation I'm in. As you can see, I'm currently down 77 points by a score of 417 to 340. I'm holding the rack EEFIORS, and there are two tiles in the bag. The unseen tiles to me, as you guys can see on the right, are ABEHLORTW. So once again, what this means is that 7 of these 9 tiles are on BestBot's rack. 2 of these 9 tiles are in the bag. I, of course, don't know which are where. The bot just played Zax, it's worth mentioning, for 37 points, which left the 2 tiles in the bag. So now I need to figure out how can I possibly come back, because 77 is a pretty significant deficit. It's not too hard to see here that there's no chance I'm going to win this game without bingoing. I can score pretty well with something like Refine through this end for 39, but I'm still going to be down nearly 40 points after this. It's going to be the bot's turn in the endgame. Again, not very hard to see that I'm never winning after a play like this. So if I know I need to bingo, then what that means, guys, is I can only play at most 2 tiles, because with 2 in the bag, if I play 3 or more tiles, that means after I replenish, I'm going to have 6 or fewer tiles left on my rack, which of course means I won't be threatening any possible bingos or 7-tile plays. So my first instinct in this position was, okay, if I play off 2 tiles, I can get rid of my F, which is not a very good bingo tile, as well as one of my 4 vowels. And a nice spot jumped out, namely playing FE for 27 points under the blank I and the T of chitlins. And this looks like a great idea at first. EIORS is a fantastic lead for bingoing, and I'm going to be drawing 2 tiles, which means I'm going to have 7 tiles on my rack. Another great thing about this play is it scores well. It scores 27 points. And I need to make sure that not only am I going to be able to bingo if I want to win, but I need to make sure my bingo scores enough. I'm down 77, and the bot is probably going to score pretty well on its next turn. So if I don't score well now and bingo for a lot, a bingo might not even be enough. So this seemed like a very promising option at first. However, the big problem with this play, guys, is that it empties the bag. And yes, I will still have 7 tiles and be threatening bingos, but the thing is, if I empty the bag, you have to keep in mind that the bot is going to know exactly what tiles I have left with no uncertainty. And what that means is if I draw a bingo in only one spot, the bot can simply realize I have a bingo there and block that spot, and I'm going to lose. So I need to draw a bingo in 2 distinct spots of the board that the bot can't simultaneously block for this to work, and that is deceptively hard to do. There are a boatload of different bingos I can draw from the bag after FE. I'll list them all out for you guys here. If I draw AB, I threaten C Robin on row 15 to the N and win. If I draw AT, I threaten Notaries or Notarize from the N in Pheno on row 14. If I draw ET, I threaten Seratine as a triple-triple through the N and win on row 15. If I draw HL, I threaten Sloshier on the O column from the S in Chitlins. If I draw HT, I threaten Shorties from that same S. If I draw LT, I threaten Oestriol on row 15 from the O in Pheno. And if I draw RT, I threaten Sorriest from the S in Chitlins on the top right. Now, the problem with all of these possible bingos is that with each draw, as I said before, I'm only threatening a bingo in one spot. So the bot will have full knowledge of my rack and will simply block that bingo, and I will lose the game. However, there is one draw that does make things a little more interesting that I didn't mention. If I draw AL out of the bag, I threaten Solarize from the S in Chitlins, as well as Ailerons as a triple-triple through the N and win, which would score 131 points. And the bot can't block both of these threats, so this situation is a lot more interesting, and let's take a closer look and see what would happen. If I do happen to draw AL after playing FE, then the bot is going to have this 7-tile rack, BEHORTW. Of course, from the bot's perspective, the unseen 7 tiles which I have are AEILORS, and as I said before, I'm threatening Solarize for 77 from the S in Chitlins, as well as Ailerons for 131 through the N and win. So obviously 131 is a lot more than 77, so the bot is going to want to block the N. And the bot's best play by far that blocks the N is to play the Thorn for 39 points. Now, this does stop one short of a triple word, which is, of course, alarming, and I can score pretty well there. I could play something like Leas, L-E-A-S, but that's going to fall way short. Yeah, it's 65 points, but the bot with just a W left is going to go out anywhere and easily win the game. So it's much better for me to bingo out with Solarize, which scores even more. It scores 77, and I would get an extra 8 points from Best Spot's W. However, at the end of the day, Best Spot is going to still win this game by 4 points, 456 to 452, as you can see on the screen here. So what this means, guys, is if we go back to the position where I played FE, that FE is never going to win. As I said, any draw other than AL out of the bag either gives me no bingo or a bingo in just one spot, which the bot can block. And as we just saw, I do draw an unblockable bingo with AL, but it's going to fall just short by 4 points. So under no circumstances do I win after FE, and this much I did realize during the game, so I elected not to play FE, which was the correct decision. It was at this point that I realized that any possible path to victory I had, if it even existed at all, would likely require playing one tile instead of two so that I wouldn't empty the bag. By not emptying the bag, I'm not enabling the bot to have perfect information about what my rack is, and the catch there is that even if I'm only threatening a bingo in one spot, the bot, based on what's unseen from the bot's perspective, might choose to block a different bingo line if, based on what it's seeing, it deems that line to be a bigger threat. I'll illustrate what I mean by that in just a moment. What I ended up playing was the word Don for 6 points over here, getting rid of my O. What I was hoping for was that I would draw the A that's in the pool and hit the word Frisia, F-R-E-E-S-I-A, on the O column for 94 points, hooking Za. Now, the thing is, even if I do draw the A for Frisia, I only have that one threat. I'm not threatening a bingo elsewhere on the board. So if the bot does end up blocking Frisia, I would lose the game. However, I thought that if there was a certain tile combination in the bag, specifically AT, that there would be enough other threats elsewhere on the board from the bot's perspective that it might choose to leave Frisia open. And let me show you guys what I mean by that. So after I play Don, the bot is up 71 points. If this happens to be the bot's rack, then from the bot's perspective, it sees the unseen tiles as the letters in Frisia plus a T. That's A-E-E-F-I-R-S-T, as you can see on the right. So the bot now needs to figure out what it should do. You'll notice that there are threats on both the top right part of the board and the bottom of the board. For instance, if the F is in the bag, I'm threatening either Seriates from the S in Chitlins or Steerine as a triple-triple through the N and win. If the I is in the bag, I'm threatening Refasten to the N and win. If the R is in the bag, I'm threatening Safeties from the S in Chitlins. And finally, if the T is in the bag, I'm of course threatening Frisia and Za, as we talked about before. The bot, remember, does not know what I have. I know from my perspective that Frisia is the only thing I'm going for. That's the only thing I can draw. But remember, guys, the bot doesn't know this. All the bot knows is that I just played Don and I have 7 of these 8 tiles in the bag. The bot has no idea which of those tiles I have. And that's exactly what I'm banking on here, to cause the bot, based on what it perceives as the biggest threats, to block a line that it thinks is more dangerous, even though I know deep down it's not dangerous, but the bot can't realize that. That's where the psychology aspect and inference really comes into play. So the bot really has 2 viable options here. It can either block the N and win, or block the S and Chitlins. And let's look at both of those. If it decides to block the N and win, then its best play there, by a good margin, would be Hone for 33 points. If it plays Hone, then as I mentioned before, there are 3 different situations where I'll bingo on the right-hand side of the board. Now, I won't necessarily win if I bingo though, because the bot's going to go up over 100 points with Hone. So we need to see in each of those cases whether I end up winning or the bot ends up winning. So let's take a look. First, if the F is in the bag, that means the bot is going to pull it. So now the bot's going to have a rack of BFLRW. It kept BLRW with Hone and will have drawn the F. And I'll have this rack, and I will bingo out with Seriates, as I said before, from this S for 77. And now let's see what happens. I bingo out, the bot passes, and the bot would still win in a nail-biter. 1 point margin, 450 to 449. So what this means, guys, is that if the bot draws the F after Hone, yes, I bingo out, but the bot actually would still win. Now let's look at what happens if the R was in the bag. If the bot draws the R, it'll have BLRRW, and I'll have this rack and bingo out with Safeties from this S for 86 points. If this happens, now I'm going to end up winning by 2, 452 to 450. So the bot will lose after hone if the R is in the bag. And finally, if the bot draws the T, I'm going to have Frisia, as we were talking about before, and that's going to be more than enough for me to win. I'll get 94, and after the bot passes, I win by 10, 460 to 450. So what this means, guys, is in the original position after I fished with Don, playing hone on the bottom wins 6 out of 8 times for the bot. It loses 2 out of 8 in the 2 situations we looked at if I hit safeties or Frisia. Each of these situations occur 1 in 8 times because there are 8 tiles in the bag, and with 1 R and 1 T unseen, the odds of the bot drawing each are 1 out of 8. So that disposes of hone. Now we need to consider, instead of hone, what if the bot blocks the top right, stopping my bingo threats there? Let's say it plays something like shower from this S. If the bot plays shower, then there are 2 possible threats for me on the bottom through the N. There's refasten as well as steerine. So let's see what happens in each of those cases. If the bot pulls the F out of the bag after shower, it's not too hard to see that I'm going to win easily because steerine is 131 point triple, so I take a lead and I'm going to win this game by over 50 points. If instead of the F, the bot draws the I, things are a little bit closer, but I'm still going to win because now refasten is 86, and I'll still be down 1 here, but I'm going to get 10 bonus points from the bot's unplayed B, I, and L, so I'll end up winning the game by 9, 442 to 433. So what this means, guys, is shower in the position after I play Don wins for the bot 6 out of 8 times. It loses 1 out of 8 if the F is in the bag to steerine, and it loses 1 out of 8 if the I is in the bag to refasten. And, well, you'll see now that shower and hone both win 6 out of 8. So which is the bot going to play? It's very hard to know, and it's pretty much a crapshoot what the bot is going to play. The bot is pretty much, I would imagine, going to flip a coin and decide which of these 2 lines to block and hope that it blocks the right one. So with all that in mind, it is possible for me to win after Don, going back to the very original position we looked at. But I need a lot of things to go my way if Don is going to win. Number 1, I need to draw the A for Frisia. Number 2, I need the T to be in the bag so the bot thinks there are all these other threats. And number 3, I need the bot to randomly decide to block the N instead of the top right, since it's going to be basically a coin flip decision for the bot, as we saw, both of them win 6 out of 8, so it's pretty much just which does the bot feel like blocking. And now let's do a little math and combinatorics and figure out what are the odds that all 3 of these things happen. Well, let's take this piece by piece. The first thing I need to happen is for me to draw the A. It's not too hard to see that the odds of me drawing the A are 1 in 9, because with 2 tiles in the bag, there are 9 tiles unseen to me that I could possibly draw, and there's only 1 A. So the odds of me drawing the A are 1 in 9. Now the second part of what I need to happen, besides drawing the A, is I need the T to still be in the bag. So now what we need to do, guys, is assume I've succeeded at part 1. Assume I've succeeded at drawing the A. So if I've drawn the A, then that means there are only 8 tiles remaining that could possibly be in the bag. That's B-E-H-L-O-R-T-W. So what are the odds then that the T is the one of these 8 tiles still remaining in the bag? Well, that would be 1 in 8. So we now have 1 in 9 that I draw the A, and then 1 in 8 that the T is still the remaining tile in the bag. But we're not even done yet, guys, because on top of that, I still need the bot to decide to block the N on the bottom instead of the top right. Now, as we said before, both of these choices, from the bot's perspective, win the exact same amount of the time. They both win 6 out of 8 games, or 75%. So, I don't know the bot's algorithm well enough to know which it would choose, so we're going to just say, for argument's sake, that it's a coin flip whether the bot would choose to block the top right or the bottom. And again, I only win if the bot blocks the bottom, assuming everything has gone well for me up to this point. So we're going to say that assuming I draw the A, and assuming I leave the T in the bag, the odds that the bot doesn't block Frisia are 50% or 1 in 2. So we now have the odds for all 3 of these events, guys. We have 1 in 9, 1 in 8, and 1 in 2. And when you're dealing with 3 independent events like this, the odds of all 3 of them happening are the product of the odds of the individual events happening. So the odds that all 3 of these things happen and that I end up winning this game after dawn are 1 in 9 times 1 in 8 times 1 in 2, which comes out to 1 in 144, which is under 1%. So pretty small, but definitely not 0. And I've seen crazier things happen in Scrabble, so It turns out I gave myself a chance to win this game. I didn't end up winning this game. I'll let you guys go watch the actual video of the game if you want to see how it ended. It was pretty funny. But in any case, I did give myself a chance, granted a very slim one. However, this is where the really crazy stuff comes in, guys. I could have given myself a better chance to win this game by, instead of playing Don, playing No over here for 2 points. And this just absolutely looks ridiculous, right? Because I'm playing off the same tile, it's the same exact idea. It's not like Don opens anything or No opens anything. Literally, they're basically carbon copies of each other, except No scores 4 fewer points. And I'm telling you that No is a better play. And it just doesn't make sense at first, right? I mean, after all, the goal of Scrabble is to score more points, not fewer points. And No scores 4 fewer points than Don. So what is going on here? And guys, this is literally something, as I said at the beginning of this video, I've never seen before in my entire Scrabble career. And I've been playing for almost 15 years in tournaments, and I've played tens of thousands of games, and I've never seen this. So don't go anywhere and let me explain to you how this works. How basically just throwing 4 points down the toilet can increase my chances of winning this game. It's absolutely remarkable. Let's do the same analysis after No that we did after Don. I need the same exact first 2 things to happen as I did after Don. I need to draw the A for Frisia and hope that the T is still in the bag to confuse the bot. And as before, if that all happens, the bot is going to be holding BEHLORW and looking at an unseen pool of AEEFIRST. This is the exact same situation we looked at a little while ago, guys, except now I have 4 fewer points. I had 346 after Don, and I have 342 after No. So again, you're probably just like, well, how could this be any better? I mean, the bot is up by more points, so surely that means it's going to win at least as often as it did after Don, if not more often. Well, like I said, guys, don't go anywhere. Just wait and see. Let's look once again at the bot's 2 options. Blocking on the bottom with Hone, or blocking on the top right with Shower. As we did before, we'll look at Hone first. If the bot plays Hone for 33, then exactly as before, there are 3 bingo threats that it needs to consider for me on the top right. Seriates, Safeties, and Frisia. So let's look at all of those in order once again. If the bot draws the F, I'm going to have Seriates, and as before, I'm going to lose. I lost by 1 before after Seriates. This time, since I have 4 fewer points, I'm going to lose by 5. So no big surprises there. Now instead, if the bot draws the R, I'm going to have Safeties, and this time after Safeties, I'm going to end up losing by 2 points. And notice, guys, this is different from before. Before, after Don, I won by 2 points after Safeties. Now I lose by 2 points. So what this means is the bot will win if it draws the R and I bingo out with Safeties. Finally, if I have Frisia on my rack, so if the bot draws the T, I will have enough to win once again. This time I'll end up winning by 6 points instead of 10 as before. So what changed here, guys, after Hone is that when I played Don, as I did in the real game, Hone was a 6 out of 8 win for the bot. If I were to have played No, then Hone would be a 7 out of 8 win for the bot, because now it only loses to Frisia. It beats Seriates and Safeties. So with that in mind, now let's look and see what, if anything, changes after the alternative of Hone, which was Shower. If the bot plays Shower, then as before, there are 2 possible bingo threats for me on the bottom of the board. There's Refasten, as well as Steerine through the N and win. If the bot draws the F and I have Steerine, again, it's not hard to see that I'm going to win handily, because that's a triple-triple. I'm going to win by over 50 points as I did before. If the bot draws the I and I have Refasten, it's going to be a little closer, but I'm still going to win. I'm going to end up winning by 5 instead of 9 as I did in the previous case. So what this means is, just like before, after Don, after No, Shower is a 6 out of 8 win for the bot. So you're probably still thinking, okay, but what does this change? Why does that make No a better play for me? Well, here's the thing, guys. Let me repeat what I just said before. After No, Shower is a 6 out of 8 win for the bot. Hone is a 7 out of 8 win for the bot. Well, what does that mean? The bot is going to make whatever play it believes wins more often based on the tiles unseen from its perspective. As we saw after Don, it was a tie between Hone and Shower. It was 6 out of 8 win in both cases. But now, after no, it's unequivocally better for the bot to play hone from its perspective, because that wins 7/8 of the time, and shower only wins 6/8 of the time. So what no does, guys, is it alters the score, and by altering the score, it alters the bot's perception of how often each of its candidate plays win. By playing no, and like I said before, completely throwing 4 points down the toilet, I've made the bot think that the top right part of the board is a less dangerous spot than it is. And I haven't changed anything about how it feels about the bottom, since either of my threats there would still win. That right there, guys, is the idea behind no. And how does this affect my overall win percentage, you might ask? Well, as we talked about after dawn, I needed 3 things to happen, right? I needed to draw the A, have the T still be in the bag, and have the bot choose, presumably at a coin flip, which of the 2 spots on the board to block. Now, after no, I only need the first 2 things to happen. Because if the bot is playing rationally, which we know it will, it's perfect in these kind of endgames, it's always going to block the bottom of the board, since, as we saw, from the bot's perspective after no, playing hone wins 7 out of 8 times, and playing shower wins only 6 out of 8 times. So every single time, the bot is going to block the bottom and leave me with Frisia as a winning out bingo, again, of course, assuming the first 2 things go my way, and I draw the A and leave the T in the bag. The odds of the first 2 things happening are calculated the exact same way as after dawn. The odds of me drawing the A, as we saw before, are 1 in 9, because there is 1 A out of 9 tiles left. And then, assuming I do draw the A, the odds of leaving the T in the bag are now 1 out of 8, because there will be 8 tiles remaining at that point and just 1 T. So my odds of winning after no are 1 in 9 times 1 in 8, or 1 in 72, which is twice as good as the 1 in 144 we assumed after dawn, based on the fact that the bot is probably a coin flip to block the spot I want it to, assuming the first 2 things go correctly. So again, guys, just an absolutely bizarre thing there that completely throwing 4 points down the toilet can net me a better win percentage. And before I close out this theme here, it's worth mentioning a little thought experiment. There's nowhere for me to legally play my O for more than 6 points after dawn, but let's say I could for considerably more. Let's say, for instance, Quoino were a word, which it's not. This would actually be a terrible play if it were hypothetically valid. And I know it sounds crazy because it's 9 more points than dawn and 13 more points than no. It doesn't do anything differently for the board as a whole, but the idea here is very similar to the idea we talked about after no. I'll leave you guys to verify the details, but what happens after this hypothetical play is that, assuming I do draw the A and leave the T in the bag, the situation we've been talking about all along, the bot is now going to be incentivized to block the top right. Because, as we saw before, after blocking the top right with shower, it's going to win 6 out of 8 times. My plays of refasten and steerine through the N on the bottom will both still win. The thing is now, after the bot would block with hone on the bottom, it's actually only winning 5 out of 8. It's losing 3 out of 8 because now all of Seriate's, Safety's, and Frisia will win for me on the top right if I draw them. We saw after no that only Frisia won, and that after dawn, Frisia and Safety's won, but Seriate's lost. After Quoino, Seriate's would also win. So now, with shower being a 6 out of 8 win for the bot, and hone being a 5 out of 8 win for the bot is of course going to choose to play shower. And guess what? If the bot plays shower, even if I hit Frisia, I'm going to have nowhere to play it, and I'm going to end up losing this game. So, once again, guys, grabbing 9 extra free points over dawn and 13 extra free points over no with Quoino would be a terrible mistake here, giving myself no chance whatsoever to win against a rational opponent. Not like I'm likely to win after dawn or no, but I still have a chance, and a chance is always better than no chance. So, yeah, just an absolutely crazy situation here, guys, where, like I said, purposefully scoring less points is better. Not something I've ever seen before. So I hope you guys found that interesting, and I hope you guys are ready for more, because this video is far from over. In the original position, I have a play that is better than dawn and better than no. Once again, we said no won 1 out of 72 times. I can win slightly more often than that with a different play. And it has to do with a really, really amazing idea. I actually came up with this idea during the game, but unfortunately didn't properly evaluate it and calculate all of the possible variants. The idea is trying to hit a 9-letter bingo of Firestone through the N and win. Now, you might think, wait a minute, I only have 7 tiles on my rack, and there's only one end to play through. 7 plus 1 is 8, so how are you going to play a 9-letter bingo? And the idea is playing a tile next to the N, and then hoping to draw the T, and then play Firestone through those 2 tiles that would then be on the board. So what I thought of during the game was playing NE for 6, hoping to draw the T for Firestone, and then that the bot wouldn't block it. Now, it does turn out that going for Firestone is the right idea in the original position. However, NE is not the right execution. The right execution was found by Cooper Komatsu, so major shout out to Cooper for commenting it on the original video, as well as to Josh Sokol for going through the analysis in great detail. Really appreciate it. And the correct idea here is to play on for 2 points instead of NE for 6. And the reason why this is better is because Firestone is now a bigger threat. After NE, Firestone hits the triple and would score 89 points as an out bingo, but after on, Firestone would now be a triple-triple scoring 167 points. And there's no way the bot is going to be able to, say, make some play next to Za on the O column that outruns Firestone as a triple-triple, but the reason why NE doesn't win as often as on is because in a lot of cases the bot can just outrun the possibility of Firestone after NE without blocking it. Now, let's think about when after on I might possibly be able to win. I'm going to need to draw the T for Firestone, but not only that, it's the same idea we saw with Don and all the earlier plays we looked at. I need to not only draw the T, but leave a tile in the bag that gives Best Bot the impression that there are enough other threats elsewhere on the board that it leaves Firestone open. In particular, I need to try to make sure that there are enough threats on the right-hand side of the board, either hooking Za or from the S and Chitlins, the same spots we've been talking about all along. There are a couple ways I can succeed at doing this after on, and the first one I want to look at is if I draw the T and leave the A in the bag. If this happens, then the bot is going to be in this position holding BEHLORW, looking at an unseen tile pool of AEEFIRST. Now, the threat on the bottom, of course, is Firestone as a triple-triple through the ON, which there is no way the bot will ever be able to outrun. If the bot elects to block Firestone with something like Hone, it's worth mentioning that it could give back some bingos on the bottom, hooking SH or EH, like Seriate or Afrits, but I'll leave you guys to do the math that these bingos are going to fall well short because the bot takes an over 100-point lead with Hone, and those bingos would only score like 70-ish points. So instead, the threats the bot needs to be worrying about are either bingos from the S and Chitlins or hooking Za, the same threats we were looking at when we were analyzing plays like Don or No. And the bingos are going to be the exact same ones that were threatened. I can either hit safeties or Seriates from the S and Chitlins or Frisia with Za. And let's see which of those would win for me after Hone. If I hit Seriates, which means the bot will have drawn the F, then as we see, I'm going to fall a bit short. When all is said and done, I'll lose by 3, 447 to 450. If I have safeties, so the bot draws the R, it's a different story. If I bingo with safeties, I'll still be down 22, but I'm going to get exactly 22 from the unplayed tiles on Best Bot's rack, which means this game is going to end in a tie at 450 apiece. We have one final possibility, namely if instead of drawing the R and leaving me with safeties, the bot draws the T and leaves me with Frisia as an out bingo. In this case, it's not too hard to see that I'm going to end up winning. I'll be down 14, but I'm going to get 22 once again from the bot's unplayed tiles, resulting in an 8-point win. So what this means is if we go back to when the bot played Hone, the bot loses 1/8 of the time, namely whenever it draws the T out of the bag, leaving me with Frisia. It ties 1/8 of the time, namely whenever it draws the R out of the bag, leaving me with safeties, and it wins otherwise, including when I bingo out with Seriates. So what that means is Hone loses 1.5 out of 8 times. A tie counts as half a win in Scrabble, so when we're analyzing it in this way, we count it as such. So 1.5 out of 8 losses, which means Hone is a 6.5 out of 8 win. And now we need to consider what happens if instead of playing Hone to block Firestone, the bot elects to play on the top right and block my threats over there. It seems like that would be a better play because Firestone only happens 1 out of 8 times. It only happens if the bot draws the 1A remaining out of 8 unseen tiles in the bag. So blocking on the top right seems like it would thus win 7 out of 8 times, which is better than the 6.5 out of 8 times after Hone. However, the bot needs to be extremely careful because Firestone, while it is the only bingo threat down there, it's not the only threat. I could also have C-front as a non-bingo triple-triple through the on the board, which scores 108 points, and it's not trivial for the bot to ensure it's going to be able to block the top right in a way that also outruns C-front. The only way I've been able to find that does it is Nobler from the N in Chitlins, and let me show you how this works. So the way the bot needs to be thinking about this is, if I have C-front, that means I have SEAFRT on my rack. If you think about it, that leaves two remaining tiles from the ones unseen, another E and an I. So that means if I have C-front, the bot is either drawing an E or an I from the bag, and it needs to think about both of those possibilities and ensure that in either case it's going to win in the endgame after Nobler, and it turns out it does, and let me show you how. If the bot plays Nobler and draws an E, I'm going to have this rack. So I'm of course going to play C-front here, it's 108 points, and it's not too hard to see that with EHW, the bot is easily going to go out and win this game. Its best play would be to play Hue over here for 20 points, which is going to result in a 9-point win for the bot. But there's also, of course, the possibility that the bot draws the I after Nobler, in which case I'm going to still hit C-front, and things are now a little bit dicier for the bot, because there is nowhere for the bot to go out with HIW. However, fortunately, if the bot foresees that I'm going to open a big hotspot with C-front for its H, and plays high for 31, it's going to barely hold on, because now my best outplay is going to be high over here, extending the bot's previous play of high, and the bot is going to win in a 2-point nail-biter, 468 to 466. So really wild stuff there. And in sum, what this means is after on, if the bot plays Nobler on the top right, it is indeed going to win 7 out of 8 times, because it truly only loses to Firestone. As we saw, C-front will not quite get the job done for me. So, after on, the bot is going to play Nobler if it's playing rationally. Again, that wins 7 out of 8. Hone wins only 6.5 out of 8, which means indeed if I do draw that T out of the bag and leave the A in the bag, I'm going to be allowed to triple out with Firestone and win this game. So if we go back to the original position where I played on, the odds of this happening are going to be just as we calculated when we were looking at either Don or No. It's going to be 1 in 72, because the odds of me drawing the T are 1 out of 9, 1 T out of 9 unseen tiles to me at this point. And then assuming I draw the T, the odds that the A is the tile remaining in the bag is 1 in 8, because there'll be 1 A out of 8 remaining tiles. So you multiply those, 1 in 9 and 1 in 8, and you get 1 in 72. Now, notice that this was the same probability that the play of No for 2 points, the seemingly paradoxical play, I should say, of No for 2 points, won with. So does that mean that On and No win the same amount? No, because On actually wins in another situation. I can draw the T, and instead of leaving the A in the bag, I can leave the L in the bag and also win. Let me show you guys how this works. If I successfully draw the T and leave the L in the bag, the bot's going to be looking at a rack of A, B, E, H, O, R, W, and an unseen tile pool of E, E, F, I, L, R, S, T, as you guys can see on the right. So Firestone is, of course, once again, the major threat on the bottom. If the bot does something on the top right to obstruct possible bingos over there, and draws the L out of the bag, then I'm going to bingo out with Firestone for 167, and of course win the game quite easily. As before, that's going to happen 1 out of 8 times. There's 1 L in the bag out of 8 unseen tiles. And the bot does once again need to be a little careful, though, of non-bingo triple-triples. This time, if either the I or R are in the bag, I could be threatening Felstone, F-E-L-S-T-O-N-E, which, as C-fronted, would score 108 points. However, this time it's not too hard to see that the bot can outrun it quite easily by playing something like Woe over here for 41. Woe blocks any bingos I could have on the right-hand side of the board, and I'll leave it as an exercise for you guys to show that after Woe, regardless of whether the bot draws the I or the R in the endgame, it's not too hard for it to outrun me after I hit Felstone, even though Felstone does score 108 points. So Woe would win 7 out of 8 times for the bot, again, losing if and only if it draws the L and I triple out with Firestone. Now, the question becomes, if the bot plays on the bottom with something like Hone, very similarly to what we've been looking at before, what am I threatening on the top right? This time I have no A to hook Za, but I am threatening Stiflers from the S, and it turns out Stiflers is going to be enough to outrun Hone. Let me show you how. After Hone, if I do hit Stiflers, that's going to be 95 points, and I'm also going to get 22 from the bot's unplayed tiles, so I'm going to finish with a 9-point victory, 459 to 450. So Stiflers is indeed the only bingo I'm threatening from the S, so you might think, okay, it's kind of a coin flip for the bot. Either it can block Stiflers or it can block Firestone. That's one bingo in either case. Here's the catch though, guys. Stiflers is twice as likely as Firestone, because Stiflers happens whenever the bot draws an E. But there are 2 E's unseen in the bag. There's only 1 L. So that means the odds of the bot drawing an E and me bingoing out with Stiflers are actually 2 out of 8, not 1 out of 8. So what that means is Hone doesn't lose 1 out of 8, it loses 2 out of 8. And as we saw, a play like Woe and Za only loses 1 out of 8. So that means that Woe and Za is the best play for the bot from its perspective here. It wins 7 out of 8 compared to 6 out of 8 for Hone. So what does that mean? Well, it means after on, if I draw the T and leave the L in the bag, the bot is going to play Woe and Za and allow me to once again, as we saw before, if I leave an A in the bag, triple out with Firestone. So going back to the original position where I played on, we now see that there is a second 1 in 72 situation where I can win this game. We saw before that if I draw the T and leave the A in the bag, which happens 1 out of 72 times, I win. And if I draw the T and I leave the L in the bag, which it's easy to see also happens 1 out of 72 times, I also win. So what that means is 2 independent events like that, either of them can happen. For me to win, you add the probabilities, which means the odds of me winning after on are 2 out of 72, which is 1 out of 36. That is twice as good as after no, which we calculated the winning chances to be 1 in 72 for, which means on is the best option we've looked at in this video up to this point for me in the original position. And it turns out that on is at least tied for the best I can do. There are no plays, at least that I or the Macondo engine have been able to find that win more than 2 out of 72 for me. The Macondo engine did find 2 other plays, however, in the original position that will win 2 out of 72 for me. And there's 2 other options. They're both very similar to each other. And they actually, interestingly, involve playing 2 tiles. I had dismissed that possibility after I looked at FE at the very beginning of the video and determined that that didn't work. The idea here is to set up another bingo line on the bottom left-hand part of the board that's going to score a lot of points. The plays are either Row for 6 or Ref for 12, both of which will win only when I draw the H and the T out of the bag on my 2-tile fish. Let me show you how this works in each case. After Row, if I hit my fish and draw HT, I'm going to be threatening Shifter and Row for over 100 points, and also Shifters from the S and Chitlins for over 100 points. The bot's best option is to leave both of them open and score a bunch with Belay for 44 on the bottom right corner. However, I'm going to bingo out with Shifter for 105 on the bottom, and I'm going to win by 2 after I get 12 additional points from the bot's rack, 463 to 461. If instead of Row I play Ref in the original position, the idea is very similar. The bot has the same rack, and now I have Shorty on my rack, which I'm threatening to play with Refs for 99 points, or from the S and Chitlins for 86. It scores considerably more with Refs, but the bot really doesn't have a good way to block that without sacrificing way too many points, so its best option once again is to just play Belay for 44 on the bottom right. I'm going to bingo out with Shorty for 99, and as before, I'm going to win by 2 points after getting the 12 additional bonus points from the bot's unplayed tiles. Now, it's worth mentioning that I said before the odds of winning after Row or Ref are 1 in 36, which coincidentally is the same as the odds of winning we calculated for on. And the way I get 1 in 36 in the odds of Row and Ref are because, as I said, you need to draw specifically the H and the T to win after either of those plays. And there are 9 choose 2, which comes out to 36 different ways to draw 2 tiles out of a 9-tile pool, which is a situation we're dealing with here. There's only 1 H and 1 T, so there's only one way to draw those 2 tiles, which means the odds of drawing those 2 tiles are 1 out of 36. And it's so fascinating because this 1 in 36 comes from a very different angle than the 1 in 36 after on. After on, we got to 1 in 36 by virtue of 2 1 in 72s. There was the 1 in 72 of drawing the T and leaving the A in the bag, and there was the 1 in 72 of drawing the T and leaving the L in the bag, and those summed to 1 in 36. I think the best way to make sense of this conceptually is that while there's only 1 winning path for me after Row or Ref, and 2 winning paths after on, the order of drawing doesn't matter for my 1 winning path after Row and Ref, but it matters for both of my winning paths after on. What I mean by that is, if I play Row or Ref, if the H and the T are in the bag, I win. It doesn't matter whether I draw the H and then the T, or the T and then the H as I'm drawing both tiles. With on, though, it's not enough for just, say, AT to be in the bag or LT to be in the bag. I need AT to be in the bag and to draw the T and leave the A in the bag, or for LT to be in the bag and to draw the T and leave the L in the bag. Each of these, of course, happen with a 50% likelihood, given that those two tiles are in the bag. If AT are in the bag, the odds that I actually draw the T are 50%, and likewise, if LT are in the bag, the odds that I actually draw the T are 50%. So hopefully that maybe explains a little bit why it seems like on is better at first, because there's two paths to victory, but each of those individually are half as likely, which is why, in the end, on and row/ref are exactly the same 1 in 36 probability to win the game, which I think is just really cool. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this video, guys. I know it was a long one, and I do apologize for that, but there was so much to unpack here, and I don't really think I could have done full justice to this position with a short video, so I really appreciate everybody who made it through, and I mean, there was so much we saw here. We saw some really cool probabilistic math and analysis. We saw a lot of psychology, and to me, I still think the coolest part of all was earlier when we were talking about Don versus No, the fact that seemingly just wasting several points can lead to higher win percentage. I mean, that's just, I still find that mind-boggling. Even though, like, I explained it and I understand how it works, I still just find that very concept mind-boggling in a game where literally the objective is to score more points than your opponent. So, really cool stuff there, guys. Like I said, thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this and learned something, and also just gained a deeper appreciation for Scrabble as a game and how complex it really is at the top level. So, yeah, hope you'll share this with some of your friends who maybe are interested in learning more about what top Scrabble strategy looks like, because I think it's really cool. I hope you guys think it's really cool. And yeah, thanks again. Really appreciate all the support. Let me know what you think. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.